Thanks so much for joining us on this episode of Techbridge today on Lagos Television. This is Lagos Television, DSTV 256, GoTV 90, and of course, UHF 35. On this show, what we do is connect the dots with you around the world of technology. We always ensure that at the end of this show, you are a better person. Without technology, things might not be as fast as they should be. So you need adequate information to ensure that you are always on point. I am Seyifunmi Olatide, and I welcome you to Techbridge.
These days, I've seen smaller businesses competing favorably with big organizations because they are more agile, they are swift, they capitalize on technology. Today on Techbridge, we'll be showing you more advantage of technology. My name is Toyin. Olagoke. You're welcome to Techbridge.
Okay, we always say as well on this show that technology touches every aspect of our lives. Talk sports, talk entertainment, talk music, talk education, name it. We always ensure that technology is found everywhere. And if we must really improve, we have to embrace technology.
There is no place you go that you don't see technology being the main hub. Look at football. Even we have VR these days. Yes. It's technology. If you go to some other industries, you see robots working for them. And we've been talking about AI in the recent time. Yes. Every aspect of our existence has technology speaking, whether entertainment, sports, whether manufacturing, anything and everything is about technology. It's the world of technology.
Yes, it's really the time of technology. And when we talk about that, we are talking animation today. And I know that if everyone is like me, animation sells each day. Cartoons, animations sells each day. We see about those that watch animations like
I have a number of them. And the good thing is, if you look at the rating of genres of programs, you know, when you classify programs, we call it genre. Okay. So you see music, news, children's program, families program. Children's program comes second. Wow. News comes first. Okay. Entertainment is like the third. Okay. So cartoon and animation takes its own place all over the world.
All right. So when we talk about animation, we know that it's a generic word. It's probably used rightly or wrongly, but in a layman's language, animation is a dynamic medium in which images or objects are manipulated to appear as moving images. And in traditional animation, images are drawn or painted by hand on transparent celluloid sheets to be photographed and exhibited on film. Now, we must make sure that we clarify or make a kind of difference between cartoon and animation. Is there any difference between the two at all? Is there a way we can say that this is the point we migrated from cartoon to animation?
The good thing is people are already answering those questions because animation is just a subset of cartoon itself.
Okay. Yeah. So probably a lot of people agree with that or they have a different opinion. We are going to have answers to all of that on this episode today. We'll be back after this break. You're welcome back from that break. The program is still Techbridge on Lagos Television. And we told you before we went on the break that we'll be talking about animation. And we say that you are going to have a lot of information, a lot of clarification, and of course, information added to you on this show today. We've got Emmanuel Erunse on the show. He is an artist, he's an animator, he's a cartoonist. Which other one? I know you have a music side too. Welcome to Techbridge, Emmanuel.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to meet you. All those and more, just me.
Emmanuel, you're welcome to Techbridge today.
It's a pleasure.
I know you're an animator,
yes,
so we'll talk so much about animation and the cartoon. So let's start.
Okay, basically animation, the whole idea of animation is to create the illusion of movement. Once you can create the illusion of movement, you're animating. You know, when we talk about animation, the first thing that comes to our mind is Tom and Jerry,
yes,
Voltron, for those in my generation, I think. But for the ones now, we have SpongeBob and all the rest. They are all animations. But basically, once you can create the illusion of movement, you're animating. So that's the basic definition wherever you go.
So that means it does not necessarily have to be an image of an individual.
Interestingly, no, it doesn't even have to be. Most of us are familiar with King Kong, the original King Kong. Now, the King Kong, the monster itself, was actually animation. The technique, stop animation was all used for that.
Now you're going technical.
Okay, so let's stop animation. Yeah, maybe we'll come to the definition of that maybe later on. Can I just?
Sure.
Okay, so stop animation is a technique of, it's an animation technique where you take models. It could be clay models, it could be plastics, anything, fabric. Remember Jim Henson and the Muppet Babies and all that. Okay. We can classify that as stop animation, but not necessarily. Now you take these Muppets and you shoot them in various frames, and then you pick all of them together and then run them through. So it looks like they are moving.
Okay.
That's stop animation.
So a kind of a sequence of frames.
Sequence of frames.
In
yes.
different formats, or what do you call
well,
it?
a sequence of frames. You take a model and then you shoot it in various frames and then you take it together. So it becomes
Now, because you've just defined animation, now what is the relationship between animation and cartoon?
That was our argument before you came in. So
okay.
please.
Okay, basically, you know, there's the issue is when we talk of cartoons, people think of animation, but it's actually broader because you have drawings, you have your comics. They are actually classified as cartoons. So for the sake of clarity, animation is the definition, the illusion of movement. That's animation. Okay. Then cartoons encompasses animation, and then our drawings, where we have Superman or the comics. Okay. So we call everything cartoons, actually. Although when you hear cartoons, you will think of animation, but it's broader than that.
You know, when a mathematician will define that, they'll say superset, subset.
Okay, subset, yes. So animation is a subset of cartoons.
Okay.
So that's a better way of putting it.
Yes. Okay, now, if we talk about cartoon and we talk about animation, we know that, at least we hear that there are 2D cartoon on animation and 3D cartoon animation. Okay, at what point did we migrate from 2D to 3D, or when did 2D start?
Okay, maybe we should even talk about where it all started.
Okay, so that probably that's 1D, right?
If there were. But actually, you know, animation, because when we think about animation, we actually think it's a recent development. But animation is actually older than cinematography. Wow. As in 5,000 years old. That's how far animation started. If we take the definition we talked about, the illusion of movement, we can say it started in the Paleolithic era, where you had caves and you had drawings in caves, and you had maybe wolves or different drawings, and you had them with more than 8 legs. But the idea we think, because we're not around then, is when you go around with your torch, as you see the first set and the second set, it creates an illusion of movement. So we can say animation started as far back as then. Okay. But if we want to look at the traditional animation, we can say it started around the 20th century, 1900s, by an artist known as Emmanuel Erunse. He started the idea of 2D animation, but we'll call it traditional animation because of certain differences we may go into if time permits. So he started that animation, and what he did was, draw. When you draw a particular, you draw a particular sequence, and then you photograph each sequence. So if you want the person's hand to keep coming down, you have to draw this, draw this, draw this, draw this.
As in individual
so
frames.
Those sequences must be there for you to
if they're not there, you can't have a traditional animation, and that's what 2D animation is built on.
So can we say that those are still pictures that you mix
still
together?
Pictures, illusion of movement.
All right.
Still pictures in different frames. Now, the closeness of frames is what determines how real animation looks like. If I want it to look more real life-like, if I can use that word, I have to make my frames close enough. So I'll have here, I'll have here, I'll have here, I'll have here, I'll have here. So it goes very smooth. But if I have here, you have a jerky movement.
Yes, so it's
that's
obvious that something was cut out.
Yes, but then, it does work because it depends on what we're trying to achieve.
And the good thing is some people there watching the program are already taking, how do I put it now, interest in this. Because in this part of the world, when you're into cartoon and animation, people don't take you serious. But there is huge market out there. Because today we have foreign cartoons and animations. What are we doing about Nigeria cartoons?
It's a pity because it's a business on its own. It's a very viable business. When Shrek came out, I think Shrek made about, is it $300 million or $400 million in its opening week? So that's how much money it is in animation. But we've not gotten to the level where it has become an industry here
in Nigeria.
Yes, if we can't get there, we'll be surprised.
Now, you need to tell us, because it's not just to just talk about it. It's for people to know what they are going into. What are the requirements of being an animator?
To be an animator.
Yes, we thank God for computers. Computers have made many things easy. When we talked about traditional cartoons, we said they had to draw in various frames, photograph each frame, and then run them through. Now, we don't have to do that. That's why we don't talk about traditional animation anymore. We talk about 2D animation, which is the same thing. But now, I don't have to photograph these things. They are on my system. So I draw, depending on the software you're using. I draw on a particular software and then I can...
Of course, you tell us the software even on this platform.
So basically, if you're going to go into animation, if you want to, for beginners, I would say you try 2D animation. And what that means is you take your... If you don't even have to be a good artist.
That is my question. I wanted to ask that. Must I be an artist
you don't
to
even
be
have
able
to
to?
be good at some of the very good animations that we have now are like SpongeBob. The drawings are, yes, they are not, but it's so popular that I think they made a movie out of it, although it's still 3D animation technically. Okay. So if you're going to go into animation, first of all, well, get training, some level of training. It doesn't have to be in a school. Get a book, read the basics, then get a system. And then you get some very basic softwares like CorelRAV, that's you have Adobe Anime. These ones can help guide you. Then your drawings, basically what you want to achieve, create your image, use maybe CorelDRAW or any of them, and then you film them in sequences. But I can't explain all that now. You just need to have a little background, of what you're doing, and I think you can start off from there.
All right, so now we understand that when it comes to animation, it's getting more popularity compared to what it used to be. Even some ad campaigns are using animation now compared to what we had. Now, apart from that, what other advantage do we have using animation, apart from the entertainment value for adults and children? Okay,
well, apart from the entertainment value, I think certain things, it used to be an advantage, but now the real world is catching up in terms of movies. There are certain things, certain effects we can create with animation that you cannot do with movies. Although now the movies are catching up because of the... Actually, the reason the movies are catching up is because of the animation, technology. Yes, the animation technology. There's CGI now, which is computer-generated imagery. So with that, what they do is we can make, we create models on the computers and make them look lifelike. So originally, you could do things that the ordinary human being will not be able to do. What you couldn't do in a sequence or whatever, you could do that in animation.
Like jumping 10-story building.
Yes, and go through the stomach and all this. So certain things you can achieve with animation. Just make it a little more fun.
That is interesting. Don't forget that these days we have youths who are into social media and all those stuff, and everybody is like, I want to use it for digital marketing. What is the economic benefit of animation? How can we make it big? Because I need to tell the story about the country. I need to tell story about, animations, cartoons about this country too. Okay, well, it's like we are importing all those things from outside.
The issue of making it big is going to be a gradual thing, I'm afraid to say. While we know there's a lot of money in it, because the industry here is not developed, it has to be a gradual thing. Just like how Nollywood started off. We need to create a level of awareness before they can actually make it big with animation here. However, there are opportunities, not as much for now, but let me say it's a gradual thing. It's a gradual thing. So it just take some time, and then I think when we are aware enough, find out that it's a viable market. Okay.
So talking about the softwares that we're going to use, when I was reading up, I saw some softwares. I saw Maya, I saw 2D, Moho, Adobe Animate, Pencil 2D, tools,
Cinema 4D,
and the rest of them. Now, I want to ask, will you give us the one that is probably the easier way out?
Okay, yes. Interesting. There's no easy, it depends on you. It's just like, for some artists, some people prefer CorelDRAW, some people prefer Adobe for what they want to do. What suits your system, I think. But for me, I'll say, depending on the kind of animation you want to create, you may have, that will determine what you choose for your software. If you're going to go into 2D animation, which is something that beginners will have to, that's what you start with. 3D is pretty complex. You may need softwares like, what comes to mind to me readily, and which is very available, is CorelRAV.
CorelRAV.
Yes. Interesting is among the choreographic suits, the package, it comes with it.
So you don't need to go extra mile.
You don't need to go extra mile. Unfortunately, it stops at Corel 11. From your 11, 12, from X3, which is Corel 13. They discontinued it, I don't know why. So if you're going to use it, you have to go maybe a little lower and use the RAV package. That will help you with 2D animation. It's very easy to use, but you need certain things, just certain guidelines, frames, timing, and then you just run it through. It's simple to use. Simple animations can be done with CorelRAV.
Now I want to do animation. How how interrelated is storyline with animation? Because we're talking about animation. What am I animating?
Yes.
There must be a storyline.
Yes.
Please tell us more.
Actually, you know, it's just like an industry, just like the movie industry. You have your actors, you have your directors. So in animation, you have the same thing. You have those who have the storytellers, you have the writers, you have everybody. They all come together. And so when they come together, they create these. You hardly have an animator who is the storyteller. You have somebody who writes the scripts.
Okay.
You have those just the way you do in the movies. Then what the animator does is, you have the artist, the person who creates the image.
Okay.
Then you have the animator putting these images together using a software.
So it's
So it's a big task. You have a lot of people coming in to do.
okay. So at a point too, I was watching some videos over time, and I saw a place where the voices were made, and they were kind of synchronized with the images.
Yes,
So
yes.
where in all of this are we
Okay,
going to put all of that?
okay. Well, you have should I don't know if I call them voiceover artists. I don't know, but you can call them that because there are different ways you do it. Traditionally, what they used to do then was after the drawing, you have somebody do a voiceover, and then they try to make the lips move in sync.
Okay.
A lot of work, really tedious work, and that's why we have to give kudos to people like Walt Disney and the Warner Bros. They did. That's why when you see any of their films, I mean their animations, when you see the credits, just look at the art.
It's lost. That takes like 5 minutes.
Yes.
They keep rolling.
So that's why people they don't really do that as much. Basically, you have some softwares that help you do your voiceover. After you've done the whole thing, you get the people who are going to do the voiceover, those who have assigned voices to different characters. Each of them have, you know. Then they come, either you use, like if you're using a software like iClone, which is for 3D animation. iClone, it's a 3D animation software. Maybe I'll be able to list all of them out.
Okay.
A 3D animation software. iClone allows you to speak directly into your system.
Okay.
And interestingly, iClone takes what you have said and then synchronizes it with the facial movement of your character.
I like that.
Yeah, that is, I think, for me, I think that's what's involved. Going the iClone, iClone has its own downsides, but that's it. If you don't have iClone, then you can have a video editing software. Okay. After doing your whole thing, you bring them together in a video editing software, and then you do your voiceover there. Then sync them. So
technology.
And one thing I also notice is that when it comes to animation, their voices are kind of twisted. They don't speak like us. They speak.
Exactly, just to ensure that it tones to children's.
Yes, it appeals to the children.
It appeals to adults too.
It appeals to adults. I don't know. You know, if you grow up watching cartoons, you just can't get away from
like
it.
the Voltrons.
Yes, the Voltrons.
The Spider-Man.
So there's a weakness in the house of Voltron.
Let me find out. Do I need a studio to start this project of animation?
No. All you need is a good system. Maybe a system with a processing speed of 2.5 gigahertz to 3. Can do that. Good RAM, you know, and then you have your softwares in. Because if you don't have a good processing speed, by the time you put in something like iClone, it will just skip. Yes, it will hang. I don't know what they call it. It's not what let's just call it hang.
Yes.
I think that's what
it freezes.
It freezes, yes. So you need something like that. With that you can go ahead.
Okay, I'll consider this as the part 1 of this because we must do practical on this show. So probably an episode is going to come up again and you come with your tools and we'll create an animation that.
and I'll be rich.
All right, Emmanuel. Thanks so very much for coming to Techbridge. Really appreciate you. And you promised to come back for part 2.
I promise.
I'm speaking with you.
Thank you so much.
All right, the program is still Techbridge on Lagos Television. We've been speaking with Emmanuel Erunse. He's an artist, he's an animator, and of course, a cartoonist. He promises to be back some other time for part 2, for practical part of it. So Techbridge continues after that. Please stay with us. All right, welcome back from that break. That was an episode with Emmanuel Erunse talking about animation. And while we were reading up, you remember this animation, Lion King?
Lion King.
And reading the background of that story, it was discovered that real people actually studied animals, the lions, how they behave, how they move, and transferred that into cartoon. Then where we have one of the biggest cartoon animations of the century, probably of life, talking
That was why I asked the question that when it comes to story, you need to understand the character behind it so that you can mimic
and interpret
the script better. So it's a good one, and I want to believe in the next episode we're going to see all this being played out.
I'm going
the
to
storyline.
At least I should do a cartoon animation.
Right.
Well, that's our episode today on Techbridge. Many thanks for joining us. Remember, you can connect with us on our various social media platforms. On YouTube, we are on Techbridge LTV, and on Facebook, we are on Techbridge LTV as well. Connect with us. If you watch us, like our page, and it means a lot to us. Thanks so very much for joining us. I'm Seyifunmi Olatide. Hope to see you some other time.
We deeply appreciate your time for today. I want to believe that you have been empowered. Keep watching Techbridge. My name is Toyin, Olagoke, signing out. Bye.
Bye for now.